What happens when hope fades, but love still burns? Step into the touching story of Max, a loyal German shepherd, and Ryan, the owner who saw him as the hero of his life. In the darkness of a rescue shelter, when everyone had given up, Max, the dog who was once a steadfast protector, lay there, his body frail and exhausted, his breath like a candle flickering on the verge of extinction. But as Ryan shed tears, pleading for one final sign, Max created a miracle. This is more than a fight for survival. It's a testament to an unbreakable bond and loyalty that transcends all limits. You will cry, you will believe, because the love between a dog and his owner can change everything. Don't miss it! Imagine standing at the fragile boundary between life and death, where your dearest friend, the one who shared every smile and every tear with you, is slipping away, each breath a dagger twisting in your heart. That was Max, a courageous German shepherd who had devoted all 12 years of his life to protecting and bringing unconditional love to Ryan, his owner. Now, in a small corner of a suburban animal rescue shelter, Max lay curled up on a tattered mat, his skeletal frame trembling, his deep brown eyes, once a blazing fire of vitality, now clouded and lost in a haze of exhaustion. The staff whispered among themselves, their eyes betraying a helpless truth. There was no more hope, no more miracles. But then, as Ryan, the man who had made Max his entire world, could no longer hold back his anguished tears, Max did something that left everyone stunned, a miracle on the edge of life and death. That moment not only changed everything but also became a powerful proof of the strength of loyalty and love, a story that will bring you to tears. The rescue shelter was shrouded in darkness, lit only by the faint glow of a lamp hanging from the ceiling, casting shadows on the weathered wooden walls. The cold wind whistled through the cracks in the door, blending with the ticking of a wall clock, as if counting down Max's remaining time. The sharp scent of antiseptic mingled with the damp earthiness of the floor, strange and chilling compared to the warm little home where Max had once been a hero. On the worn mat, Max, the 12-year-old German shepherd, lay still, his once glossy black coat now dull, revealing the jutting bones beneath skin as thin as paper. His breathing was feeble, each rise and fall a desperate whisper, like a candle about to be snuffed out by a storm. Ryan Carter, 41, a man with a weathered face and calloused hands from hard labor, knelt beside Max, clutching his cold paw as if he could somehow transfer strength to his closest companion. His eyes were red and swollen, his chest constricted by a wordless pain. Max, the dog who had been an unshakable bond in his life, was drifting away. He couldn't accept that reality. Nearby, Dr. Evans, the veterinarian, a lean man with salt and pepper hair and glasses slipping down his nose, stood silently, holding a clipboard but writing nothing. He had witnessed too many farewells like this, and this time, he believed there was no chance for survival. He cleared his throat softly. "Ryan, we've done all we can. He won't make it." But Ryan didn't reply, his gaze locked on Max, searching for a glimmer of hope, a sign that his hero hadn't given up yet. The four-tube hung suspended from its stand, dripping silently onto the wooden floor, like useless drops of time slipping away. A young staff member named Sarah, with her hair tied back in a ponytail and eyes filled with sorrow, stood in the corner of the room, clutching an old blanket tightly. She had cared for Max over the past week, and though she didn't say it aloud, she had grown attached to the dog. "He's really special," she whispered to Dr. Evans, but he only nodded, offering no further words. Ryan bowed his head, his voice hoarse. "You're my hero, Max. You always have been." Those words were like a prayer, a final effort to keep Max with him. But Max didn't move, his eyes half closed, his breath as fragile as a thread about to snap. Dr. Evans placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder, his tone low. "I know how much he means to you, but his body is exhausted. There's nothing more we can do." Those words were like a final knife slicing through Ryan's heart. He shook his head, memories flooding back like a raging wave. The day he brought Max home from the rescue shelter, a tiny pup with floppy ears and curious eyes. The afternoons when Max chased after him across grassy fields. The resounding barks that greeted him after long days at work. Max wasn't just a dog, He was a friend, a brother, the one who pulled Ryan out of his darkest nights, when he lost his job, lost loved ones, and only Max remained, resting his head silently on Ryan's lap as if to say, "I'm not going anywhere." Now, after 12 years of unwavering loyalty, Max was slipping away, and Ryan felt like he, too, was breaking apart. He ran his hand over Max's matted fur, feeling the last traces of warmth fading away. He had tried to stay strong, tried to hold it together, but the thought of a life without Max, without the sound of paws clattering across the wooden floor, without those bright brown eyes welcoming him each morning, left him breathless. A sob escaped him, and tears fell, soaking the mat beneath Max's paws. "Don't leave me, Max. Please, just give me one more sign," he whispered, his voice shattering like broken glass. The ticking of the clock seemed to slow, each second stretching into eternity. Sarah turned away, wiping her tears quickly, while Dr. Evans sighed, preparing to leave the room to give Ryan his final moments with Max. But then, just when everyone thought it was over, Max did something no one dared to dream of. Ryan flinched as he felt a slight movement. He thought he'd imagined it, but no, Max's paw twitched faintly, weak as a passing breeze, yet undeniable and real. His heart pounded, his eyes locking onto Max's face. The dog, who had been as still as a wooden statue, was now trying. His breathing, though still fragile, seemed to find a rhythm, no longer as erratic as before. Ryan froze, his trembling hand resting on Max's chest, feeling the faint but resolute heartbeat beneath. "Max!" he cried out, his voice breaking with astonishment. Sarah turned back, her eyes wide, while Dr. Evans hurried forward, pushing up his glasses and staring at the dog in disbelief. And then, a warm sensation brushed Ryan's hand, Max's tongue, so weak it was barely a graze, but it was there. "You're still here!" Ryan shouted, tears streaming down his face, but this time they were tears of hope. Max didn't open his eyes or lift his head, but his paw moved again, as if a mysterious strength was stirring within his depleted body. Ryan looked up at Dr. Evans, his eyes pleading for an explanation. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice quivering. Dr. Evans shook his head, muttering, I don't understand. He shouldn't be able to do this." Sarah stepped closer, clutching her chest. "It's a miracle, isn't it?" A single tear rolled down from the corner of Max's eye, as if it were proof of the unbreakable bond between him and Ryan. Ryan took a deep breath, his mind reeling. Just minutes ago, Max had seemed on the verge of fading away, his weak heartbeat on the old monitor nearly silent. But now, he was fighting. Max's paw twitched again, his breathing steadier ever so slightly. "You haven't given up, have you, buddy?" Ryan whispered, gently stroking Max's ear. Sarah knelt beside him, murmuring, "He hears you. I can see it." Dr. Evans checked the monitor, his voice hesitant. "His heart rate, it's stabilizing. I don't know how to explain it, but he's trying." Ryan laughed through his tears. "Because he's Max, my hero." The room fell into a strange stillness, broken only by the ticking of the clock and Max's faint breathing. Ryan didn't take his eyes off the dog, whispering, "You've always been there for me, through every storm. Don't stop now." He remembered the first days with Max, a rainy afternoon when he found him in a box by the roadside, soaked and shivering. He'd brought him home, named him Max, and from then on, he became the hero of Ryan's life. The times Max barked fiercely at strangers nearing the house, the nights he curled up beside Ryan as he wept over losing his mother, Max had never abandoned him. And now, despite his frail body, he was still fighting for him. Dr. Evans sighed, setting his clipboard down. "Ryan, I don't want you to get your hopes up too high. He's still very weak, and the internal damage might be—" Ryan cut him off, his voice firm. "I know Max. He's not ready to leave me." Dr. Evans nodded reluctantly. "All right, we'll keep watching." Sarah brought over a warmer blanket, gently draping it over Max, whispering, "Hang in there, little guy." And then, a soft whimper rose from Max's throat, faint but clear. Ryan's heart raced. "Buddy, I'm here," he called, gripping Max's paw tightly. His ear twitched slightly, as if trying to respond despite his waning strength. Time crawled by, and Ryan stayed kneeling beside Max, his gaze never wavering from the dog. Then came another movement. Max's tail brushed faintly across the mat, subtle as a breath, but enough for Sarah to exclaim, "Look at that!" Ryan laughed loudly, tears streaming down. "See that, Evans? He's not done yet." Dr. Evans adjusted his glasses, glancing at the monitor. "His heart rate's up slightly. It's unbelievable." The air in the room shifted, heavy, but no longer with the weight of despair. It was the weight of a battle not yet lost, a survival filled with hope. Ryan leaned down, whispering, "You're everything to me, buddy." And then Max let out a long, slow breath and tried to lift his head. Max's head moved only slightly, sluggish as if each motion were a feat, but his eyes blinked faintly, a spark of life glimmering through the haze of exhaustion. Ryan choked up. "Keep going, I'm right here." Sarah clapped her hands, tears rolling down her cheeks. "He hears you," Dr. Evans muttered. "His heart rate's steadier. This is a miracle." Ryan didn't need science. He knew Max was still here, still fighting for love. Another hoarse whimper came from Max, and Ryan laughed. "You're so stubborn, buddy!" 12 years without ever parting, and now, even on the brink of death, Max was still battling for him. Dr. Evans stared at the monitor, shaking his head in disbelief. "In 20 years of working, I've never seen anything like this. His heart rate is stronger, and his oxygen levels are rising." Ryan smiled. "Because he's Max, my hero." Dr. Evans sighed. "I can't promise anything, but I'll give him time." Ryan nodded, his eyes never leaving Max. Hours passed as he whispered about old times. The days when Max chased butterflies in the garden, the mornings he'd leap onto the bed to wake Ryan with a wet nose. Max's breathing grew steadier, no longer faltering. "Remember that time you dug a hole in the yard?" Ryan murmured. "Mom scolded me, but you just sat there, wagging your tail like nothing happened." Max didn't respond, but a deep breath came, steady, stronger than before. Sarah wiped her tears, smiling. "He's listening to you," Dr. Evans muttered. "It's incredible. He's improving." Ryan looked up. "What does that mean?" Dr. Evans hesitated. "It means he hasn't given up." Ryan gripped Max's paw tightly, his heart swelling with hope. The night stretched on, but Max remained, his breathing deeper, his body no longer motionless. Another soft whimper escaped him, and this time, his tail twitched, a real movement. Ryan laughed. "You're still here, buddy!" Sarah clapped her hands. "He did it!" The light of dawn peeked through the door's cracks, casting a gentle glow over Max's fur. His breathing was even, no longer feeble. Ryan didn't leave, his hand gently stroking Max's head. "You're coming back, aren't you?" he whispered. Max stirred slightly, his head lifting just a fraction, his eyes blinking slowly but brighter. Ryan choked up. "I knew you wouldn't leave me," Dr. Evans murmured. "He should have been gone by now, but—" Ryan cut him off. "That's my Max, my unbeatable hero." Sarah laughed. "He's a hero to all of us." Max's story is a living testament that love and loyalty between a dog and its owner can create a miracle, surpassing all limits of survival. When everyone else gave up, Max kept fighting, for Ryan, for their unbreakable bond, for a hope that never died. If this story brings you to tears and makes you believe in the power of love, please like, subscribe, and share. Have you ever had a dog who was your hero? Tell us your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear it.